a personal playthrough of DS1. I wrapped it up and I finished it, and yeah, I forgot the violent difference in difficulty and tone that comes from ripping through the Artorias DLC, fighting him, fighting Manus, fighting whatchamacallit, the dragon, Calamite, and then walking out of there and waltzing up to Gwyn.
Oh my god, it's a joke, dude.
I can't, like, it's so, oh yeah.
At the very least,
there's nothing.
At the very least, thematically, it's appropriate because it's like the Age of Fire at its height, and even the losers of the Age of Fire at its height are crazy, and then it's this burnt out old husk.
Yeah, you know, who's parryable, as mentioned.
Oh man, it's so.
But I went in pretty strong to like the Artorias DLC, and you know, again, going back through it, I didn't have anywhere near as much of a tough time because we're used to the systems now. But I still needed to like get my shit together, to like, you know, like to fight like Manus and stuff, and
Manus is for real.
Manus is for real, and Calamite is for real. You know,
yeah.
Like you do have to.
I recently watched a video talking about Kingsfield 1. Calamite is totally the final boss of Kingsfield 1.
Okay.
He's not named in that game, but he has the same head and he's got the big glowing orange eye dead center.
Interesting. Yeah, so you know, and I definitely like went in and just went like, all right, let me build out in a way where I can just fucking Havel shield a bunch of this bullshit and then not have to think about it. But like going from that, you know, and then like alternating between like Havel shielding and then two-handing for a big ass swing of like Grant, you know, with some good faith, like still made those fights like, you know, precision, technical, but good because I'm walking with like 20 vit or whatever. And then you just walk up to Gwyn and swing 4 times and the game ends and you're like, oh man. You know, like old King Allant gave you this cool duel, you know? And this is that, but just the DLC makes you so overpowered for it. I forgot.
Have to say that playing Dark Souls 3 do you remember me talking about how Dark Souls 3 felt easier than the other games way back in the day when we were doing the LP?
Because of the experience.
Right, and the average person was like, that's because you over-leveled. And it's like, I've gone through that game a couple times since then. Like, no, that game is a little easier. And as I've gone through these games kind of over and over, particularly the Death remake, right? They kept doing this thing where Death was hard, but then players who beat Death were ready for Dark Souls 1.
Yes.
So they had to make it harder, and so on and so forth. But there's only so much of that you can do before it becomes like legitimately impossible for the average person who's not familiar. And I think Bloodborne is like the line on that. There were parts of Bloodborne that were stupid. And I can't believe that the average person who didn't have experience with the older games was able to get through something like Ludwig in under 100 tries. Like, it's completely ridiculous. And it's fascinating doing all these years. And when the Death remake came out and you go through Death, it's like, this is a joke. Like, the threat level on even bosses is like hilarious.
So the first thing I did, so I beat it, right? And then like whatever, went around and you beat fucking Asylum and then Save Your Souls or whatever, New Game Plus. The first thing I wanted to do, the first thing I did and immediately was just curious about, because it's been so long now, was I'm like, okay, you just had this experience and everything in this game is so much more simple now that you're looking back on it and you have all that that knowledge. let me see what the fuck that Fume Knight fight was about. Because in my brain, that still represents the peak of struggle, right? Nothing like made me fucking struggle harder than the Fume Knight.
I remember it well enough. I can tell you right now, the Fume Knight fight is the #1 fight in the history of Dark Souls that abuses a very specific type of boss moveset, which is you're gonna do the anticipatory animation, but it's not clear what move is gonna come out.
Yep. And one of those moves, like a lot of those moves, are going to be still the rhythm of anticipate and swing, roll right there. But one of those is a slow tracking. If you anticipated and rolled badly, you're dead, right? The slow sweep is there. But none of that actually was the most impactful thing I noticed watching the replay of it. The most impactful thing I fucking noticed looking at the DS2 everything was taking a sip of Estus and how slow you heal and going like, man, oh my god, have you
that
seen, was it.
What's the last time you saw Dark Souls 3 like gameplay footage where you drink Estus?
Yeah, like years.
It's like done. Like it's like you throw it back like it's a shot, and you can still kind of move while you're doing it.
Unbelievable, you know? So looking at that, I'm like, there's situations where DS1, I'm like, oh, I'm fucked right here. I'm in the shit. I'm standing inside of Seath's crystals, and I'm just taking a sip. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it. But in DS2, like, I'm watching that fight, and it's like, back off, take a sip, and it's like, gulp, gulp, gulp. And then the life bar goes, ooh, you know? And I'm like, that is
it is
brutal.
I will tell you right now, have you ever played even 10 minutes of Monster Hunter? The old ones.
No, never.
Okay, so in the new ones, you drink, and as you drink, your health bar goes up, which is intuitive, right? In the old games, here's what you do, and I would try and get the timing correctly. Sorry for those of you at home who cannot view me. You're going to hit the button, and you're going to drink the potion. Flex. Done. And you cannot move in any of it.
When does your life get returned?
The instant it touches your lips.
Okay.
But the flex will lock you in place.
Okay.
So the animation takes like 4 seconds.
You know, that feels worse than a really slow drinking animation because it's like, so extra.
Move!
Yeah, no, that actually feels worse.
That is totally the fucking inspiration for those original drink times. 100%.
So yeah, I went back to look at fucking Fume Knight and just went like, oh yeah, okay, no, I see the bullshit. I see where a lot of that still came from, you know? Anyway.
And so, like, you get to Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, and you get to this moment where you have 2 types of boss moves that are supposed to trick you up. You have what I'm going to call the flailing Bloodborne nightmare, which is a mass of limbs that are incorporating full body hitboxes at what appear to be random times, just comes at you.
Yeah.
And then there's a boss which sometimes will raise his sword up and hit you, and then other times he'll raise his sword up and he'll keep it, and he'll keep it, and then it's a sweep.
Yeah, sure,
right?
Sure.
And it's like, I hope you didn't roll the instant the arm went up.
Also, sometimes that mass of limbs is also, what am I looking at? What is the shape of this monster? I can't logically make out your figure.
I forget who it was, but they broke down Ludwig, and Ludwig is probably like, it's a cool fight and it's a great fight, but Ludwig probably has like the most unfairness in all Souls bosses ever. There's a charge move that he does that he gains full body hitbox on that has like is it 12 frames of startup? and you have to dodge to the correct direction, but his limbs can still clip you depending on where they are in the animation. And it's like, nobody's reacting to that correctly.
More than Orphan? Yeah.
Yeah. Orphan is fucked up because
to me Orphan's was seemed to be the most fucked.
Orphan is fucked up because Orphan breaks a rule. Turns out when that Dark Souls 1 debug copy leaked out, it turns out that bosses in those games are actually modified player characters and still work underneath the same rules that the player does in terms
you could
of
hack,
health and stamina.
You could hack boss control, yeah.
Orphan uniquely appears to have no stamina system at all and just can attack you forever.
Does things. Yes, just does things. Yeah. I just that made more that's the bigger impact. But yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the footage.
But yeah, the video that I was watching, I wish I could remember, but they show like Ludwig's arm going back, and they're like, this arm attack is going to happen in 16 frames, but the start of this animation is the same for 2 completely different moves. And the part where it starts to articulate only leaves you like 6 frames to react, which is faster than human reaction speed. So, hope you guessed correctly off your panic button.
Yeah, I mean, there's it kind of like there's you know how you go through a bunch of different categories when you're learning a boss, right? Like any Souls boss that gets thrown at you, which I'm sure a couple will be soon, coming our way. You know, with
what are you talking about? There's no Souls games coming out.
But the diagnostic approach that we all take to these now is like, all right, what do you do? Right? 2, how do you feel about me at your feet taking some swings? Right? And then like, what do you do also equals like the arena, look around, who's around, what's happening, where can I fall? Is someone going to stick me in the ass? Whatever, right? Assess. And then 2, how do you feel about me poking your toes a little bit? You know, and then at some point it's like, if the answers to A and B are complete and utter bullshit like the entire time, then it'll just then your final thing becomes, all right, I will not engage with you except for this one moment. What will that be? You know,
it reminds me of so many people had trouble with O and S. Right?
Yeah.
O and S are ridiculous, right? And you beat O and S, and then you got to beat the super version, right? And most people end up fighting Super Ornstein because it's easier to take out Smough in the earlier fight. And what a tough fight! And you're on your low resources, and then at some point in the process, most people are going to find out, you know, if I jam my head up against his knees, I don't think he knows how to hit me. I legitimately wait. Hold on. If I just rub my character model on Ornstein here, can he? No, he can't. He actually can literally do nothing. Huh? Great. Done.
For me, it's the pillar post. He can't get around it, and like doesn't know what to do about the post. And if he starts glowing on the spear, just get the fuck out of there, and then otherwise hug the post. Right? To me, the real version of that is returning to fucking Ulasil, Sanctuary Garden.
Right.
You fight the Guardian on the way in, and then
the Manticore.
Yeah, and then on the way out, you have the optional double Manticore.
Right.
And 2 of them at the same time in an open arena with nothing to hide behind. That's a realer ONS.
Yes. Oh, it's rough.
And that is where what I'm talking about exists, where it's like, okay, literally 97% of this fight is me just moving, and there's going to be one moment where you're going to be open, and he's going to be over there, and that's the one swing I get.
It's funny that you mention that, because you're describing the only boss fight in Souls history that I have yet to actually beat. And I have no desire to ever beat it ever again. Not the double Manticore, the double Tiger. The double Tiger from the end of the Snow DLC in Dark Souls 2 after Invisible Horsefuck Valley. I've only gotten to that fight twice. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just don't care.
So, you know, like that to me is like the peak of no matter how bad anything coming from Elden Ring is going to be, no matter how bullshit any of these fights will be.
Oh, you were talking about Elden Ring. I got confused because we were talking about Souls.
No worries. Well, in any case, whatever is coming, right? And I'll throw Sekiro on that list too, you know?
Sekiro is a great example of what we're talking about because the healing animation is the fastest. Because it needs to be.
But like fighting like the owl, like I got wrecked by him so much, but like eventually getting it down to like, yeah, I'm just gonna wait till you do this one attack, you know. And for the manticores, the sanctuary guardians, for me it was after they do the body tackle, which they rarely ever do. There's like 10 attacks they do, and once in a while they'll do a big charge at you, and then you get a swing on the butt, and everything else, fuck it, not worth it, not safe.
Did you fight and beat Demon of Hatred in Sekiro?
Which one is that again? That was the
yes,
I did.
Boss that they took from Bloodborne.
Totally, yes.
I was talking to Gene about that, and we were both in agreement that boss is complete nonsense because they took it from a different game
and dropped it in here.
It wants you to play Bloodborne against it.
Yeah.
I think Gene's, what did he say? He's like, how am I supposed to do this? I've been a ninja the whole game. I don't know how to do that.
I'm not a hunter.
He's right.
You're not a hunter.
That game, every enemy, even the goddamn fucking apes, you can block and parry, but not this guy. All dodges and jumps.
Yeah. So it's the retrospective looking back on some of this shit is like, FromSoft, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck, you know?